Are you looking for a quick and easy project to add just a little charm to your next junk journal? Today I'm going to show you how to make the sweetest little matchbook journals in just a few minutes. They're perfect for pockets, layering, or even giving as a gift. And the best part is they are so simple to make. So stick around to see just how easy these are, and if you love creative journaling, make sure to subscribe because I have so many more beautiful ideas waiting for you. I've got my mixed media sketchbook, which has my Tim Holtz, mostly Tim Holtz ephemera in it, and then I have this peppermint pad by Crepe Paper, and we're going to make a easy matchbook that you can make really quickly. Last video we were talking about creating when you don't feel like it, and so I'm trying to introduce projects that are easy, that are fun, and that you can do in a really quick amount of time, and you don't have to stress over them. You're going to absolutely love these little matchbooks because they are super easy to make. It's literally a couple of folds, and then you can customize them however you want. So we're going to make one, and I'm going to show you also how to take, so this is a Christmas paper pad, and I couldn't tell you what year it was from. And I'm going to show you how you can use it for everyday projects, that you don't have to use things if they're for Christmas, just for Christmas. Like even this one where it says twinkled and there's writing. I don't know if I have that one in here. I don't think I saw it when I was flipping through. So really the only, oh, here it is. So I would say that these tags would be mainly Christmas. You could alter them. You can add different ephemera here so that you can cover up the Christmas and still use it for the rest of the year. You also had these peppermints, but I think that if you're looking at it, you can use these as a background without having to use them for Christmas. And the same with this. If you are cutting out just pieces of this, then it doesn't really matter what is in the background. Like I would omit the stockings, but how would I? So if you pretend like this is a little viewfinder and you put it wherever you want, like if you were cutting pieces out, you can cut enough of the words out so that they are not necessarily Christmas. So like if you look right here, and here we can do it like this. Let's say, I'm gonna cut this out to a semi-rectangle. And let's say this is the size, the inside rectangle is the size that you want for your project. So you can lay it here and you can see that even though you can see Vixen and Blitzen, you can still use these words. You could go here where you have this right here, and let's say it says sleigh here, you could always cover that piece. But anyways, that hopefully that gives you an idea that you can use these pieces for more than just Christmas. And even this, when you're looking at it, if you were to, like here's a rose, I'm just picking some pieces that I have sitting on my desk. You can see how you can transform this to not be solely Christmas, but kind of go with any. any theme that you want. So I'm going to pick one of these that has a base that I want. And this paper is probably, it's not quite a cardstock. I usually use 110-pound cardstock, which I believe this one feels a little thinner. But this is a little thinner than that. I actually absolutely adore that green. So I'm going to pull this out. I also really love this. Anything with lines is always so pretty to me. I also like this green. I think actually I'm going to go with this green instead of that one. And I'm just going to tuck this back in so I could use it later. And I'm going to use this as my background. I love this paper because it's got like this natural distressing. For the base of our matchbook, we are actually just going to cut out a rectangular shape. So I'm going to just decide on a size, but you can change this up. This project is very customizable, so if you want a big matchbook, you can do a big one. If you want a really tiny one, you can do a tiny one, or somewhere in the middle. So I think I like 2 inches. Actually, let's do 3 inches. Actually, I think that's too big. Let's go with the 3 inches. Oops, I moved my paper. It's okay. I have a little oopsie right there, but we can fix that. And our matchbook is going to be pretty easy. The construction is you're going to come up at the bottom however much you want. This looks like it's probably about 3/4 of an inch if I had to guess. And then the top is going to go tucked in here. So let's say if I wanted it to be tall and long like this, I could do that. Or I could cut it down so that it could be really any length that I want. And I think maybe somewhere around here. And so I think that that's perfect there. And for the inside, this is my favorite part, is we're just going to use scrap papers. I also have these on my desk that have some remnants from projects that I had worked on, so I'm going to use those. And I like using papers that have a lot of different elements. So this is an old book page with numbers on it. I absolutely adore this, and I'm going to put this probably up at the front, so I'm going to cut it a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to have my papers staggering both in width as well as height. Whenever I'm cutting up pieces of paper, what I'm looking for is, I love to have lines or any kind of element like that that sticks out instead of like this where it is blank. But on this one, I love this side. And we're going to stagger those, like I said, so they're not going to be full across. This is actually really pretty. I'm not thinking too strongly here about what, I think that is so pretty already, about what goes where. I'm going to see if I have maybe some book page. The other thing I like to do, so whenever I'm layering papers, and that goes whether I'm doing a signature or something like this, and this I'm looking at it kind of like a signature, I want, number one, different types of textures. So even if you have book page, like these two are book pages, but they're made out of different materials. So this is more smooth, this is more rough. Then also the colors are going to matter. So you can see this is leaning more on browns, where this is more like a cool taupe, and that is somewhere in the middle. So something really nice to add would be some tissue paper. I think that that would be a good piece. You can see, especially the crinkled pieces like that, and you can see the effect that it has. So let's say, and on this one, I'm just going to cut it to the base instead of having it fold over, and I'm going to crinkle the edges so that it looks worn and loved and distressed and yummy. And I feel like that is good. If you wanted to add more, you could. Let's see. Something like this would be great. Like ephemera like this, where it's like a ticket or something, that would be really great. Although I don't think I want to cover this that much, so maybe we'll use this after in layering when we start decorating. So I'm going to go ahead and staple, and you can do one staple in the middle, or you can do two staples on the, one on each edge, and you can feel free to measure and make sure they're even, but I'm not going to do that. And you're going to see once we tuck this in, it tucks in perfectly. So now I'm going to go ahead and fold here. And then now I'm going to go ahead and decorate this part. And I could have done this first, and if I used double-sided paper, that would be easy too, but there's no need. And if you have, a lot of paper pads come where they're only one-sided, and so I want to show you how you can do it even if your paper comes one-sided. So I'm going to start with the back of this. I think that might be really pretty. I want something that is kind of simple. And I'm just going to eyeball all the measurements. I'm going to go ahead and fold that over. And I'm going to cut the excess off once I've glued it down. And this I'm going to go ahead and tear. It's so hard to do things with these nails. Okay, I'm going to actually cut it because I can't get a grip with the nails. And so now that's given me a backdrop that I can work with. And if I didn't want to add another color here, I think I am going to leave the blue because I'm going to use this blue afterwards. But if you didn't want to add another color, then you could use something that was more plain. You can use just like a cardstock. You can see the background on that. That would be really pretty. You could also use book page, which would look really pretty as well, and it would add to this. Or you can make it even simpler and just do this paper and distress the inside with ink. So it's completely up to you. And I don't even have to glue the paper down at the bottom. If you saw, I only glued the top portion. Because you're not moving the papers around that much. And I think on the top part, I am going to go with something that is more on the tan side. Oh, these are all, excuse me, I'd forgotten what these were. These are all wax paper that I had done in a previous video. These are really great. So I'm going to save these because they're more for, I think, layering. And I could use, I have this sitting on my desk. Now I am going to be adding a pocket here, so the backdrop of this is not that important. Let's see. I could also add a floral, which is really pretty. I think that might be what I do. And I'm going to show you another take on this where you can start getting even more creative if you want to start delving a little bit deeper into mixed media. I'm going to show you one of these like that. Sometimes starting a project like that can be a little intimidating because you think, I don't know how to do art, or I've never done that before, and I'm going to show you an easy way. And I've talked about this before, but really the best way to do any of this stuff is just getting your fingers dirty and just jumping in and doing it. Look how pretty that looks already with the florals and this blue and the green. I think I need a little extra glue here. And these are some roses that some handmade washi tape. If you haven't caught that video, I'll list that down below. I kind of like that. I like that, but I kind of feel like it might be better to have like maybe a geometric pattern or something that has maybe lines on it. So I'm going to look through my other washi tape. So I have this one, and this is what I was thinking that it might be. Like that might be better. Oh, I like that with the blue. So we're going to go with this. But I'm going to wait on this until we put the pocket on. And for the pocket, I could, let me think. I have that little leftover piece. So I do like that where the pocket is mimicking this color here. We're going to try it. I'm just going to cut it down so it's the same size as the matchbook, and then I'm going to cut a diagonal across here. And I want to see if it's covering up the florals too much, which I think I like this side better because this completely covers, like I feel like there's a lot of white space here. Whereas when you put it here, you have this flower here. So I'm going to take some glue and just glue down the two edges so that this can be a pocket. So I've done really well with this art glitter glue and not stopping it up, which was my biggest concern with getting this glue in the first place, because I've heard so many people having problems, and I think I've been a little lazy about putting the top on. So like this won't even, nothing will come out of here. I've cleaned it, I've soaked it in hot water, and you can see, well, maybe not, but there's a little hole there. So glue should theoretically go through, but it doesn't. And so I'm trying to think of what I'm going to do. Yeah, no glue wants to come out of that. So if you have any suggestions on glue, and I'd love to know if you have one of those, it's the glue gun, if you know what I'm talking about, that it goes with the Nuvo glue. I think that's what it is. If you have that, I'd love to know your take on it and your feelings, if you do it again, if you use it, all that. There we go. Oh, and so now I can come back in and add this. And I think on this, I don't mind if it covers more. I'd rather it cover a little less up here. I like being able to see that, some of that edge anyways. So let's try this. I like that those numbers are on the edge too. That was not intentional, but I love that edge. So what is kind of stumping me is this, if I should cut that down. Hopefully that doesn't stick. I kind of feel like I do want it cut down a little bit. Oh no, I might have stuck it down. I'm always on the wild side with my, and these nails are not helping. I went and got my nails done with my daughter, who's always begging to go get them done, and I never agree. What I don't like about nail salons is that you have no idea what you're going to get charged until, there you go, until you're there. And so that's been my experience anyways. I'm sure it's not every nail salon. Okay, so that's going to go down, and I'm going to grab, I have these scissors that cut stickers. I forget half the time, so they won't like gum up. Okay. And I definitely, as you can see, this definitely pulls back up. So I'm going to add some glue. And I'll do the same to the bottom. Anyway, so with the nails, they're really hard to do stuff with. I'm used to using my nails as little tools, which is the reason that they break. I understand that, but I think that's really cute, and it covers that seam. Okay. I don't know if I've shown this on here or if I've only done it on Patreon, but this is one of my printables. And if you look, it's got like these little pieces where they're holes, but when you scan it, it picks it up as white. And so I'm going to take an owl, any kind of pokey tool, anything that's sharp, and I'm going to start with a hole on this side so that I know where it's at, somewhere kind of roughly in the middle. Ignore this, this is off cut. And then I'm going to go from the back side, and I'm going to push like all the little piece of the paper so that it's coming out. And I'm going to push through a little bit and then take my nails and push those holes in like that. So like that, it's a tiny hole, and then I'm going to take again my nails, And I'm kind of pressing the paper, but instead of the paper going through this side of the hole, it's going through that side of the hole. And you can actually use your tool too. You can see here's the paper, and you can fold it over. And you can do as much or as little as you want. And it just makes it look more vintage, more real. And I don't love, I think I cut these edges I'm going to leave that because it's got the hole. I'm going to leave that bottom edge. And also when you do this, you're also covering up the little staples. If you like the staples as part of the design, then you don't have to cover them up. You can use something maybe that covers one up, or something in the middle that doesn't cover them up at all. And I'm going to do this, but I'm also going to layer it with something else. I think I saw some blue papers in here, which this is that same blue that I had back there for a background. I like this. But I think I like it more if the number sticks out, which that might be too high. So this will get tucked away. So I'm not going to know until I try it. So I'm just going to rip this paper. And I purposefully, when I ripped it, went kind of off so that it doesn't have the exact same, so it's not cut straight across, but it's kind of at an angle. And let's see, I kind of like that. And I think that's just enough for it to work. And if you wanted to bring that staple back, you could do it here. You can add a staple here in the middle. You could even staple it on and use that middle space where you didn't have anything and add your staple there. I think I'm going to come across here, and I'm going to just distress the edge right here a little bit. I love the wax paper because it just is really nice to distress it. Because of the wax, if you think of like the little wax papers where you can seal up a sandwich, it sticks to itself. So that works out really nice. So I think I'm just going to add that here, but I'm going to look through my stash and see if I know I have the Tim Holtz little people, the little tiny figures. Oh, I have this little guy right here. I think that's perfect. So let's align that back up. And he's got a little extra paper here, so I'll get rid of that. And because I am working with the wax paper, I am going to staple him on just so I can make sure that he stays put. I'll do 2. didn't think that through. Well, thankfully, because I am dealing with wax paper, it's easy to wipe that glue away, because I don't necessarily want that glued there. Look how adorable that is. I just want to make sure we're still. So now he's going to be on the front here. And now we're going to decorate the rest of this, which I think is a good time to you know, music paper always has my heart. Oof. Should I do that? Filming kind of live like this is really hard sometimes, because when I go to view this back and I pick something, the likelihood of me sticking with that choice once I'm looking at it back. So if I was like you watching this, you're like, no, you should have used that paper, and that's really tough. Oh, I really like this one. Let's see if I like this, and it lends itself with the blue. Let's see if I can layer these, how they'll look. And if you wanted to extend the papers, so if you wanted to like do something like this where the papers are sticking out on the top, you can, but remember, you don't want them to stick out at the bottom because you're trying to close your matchbook. So I think I like this. Another thing that I really like to do, and I talk about this on Patreon all the time, I love having these. So in scrapbooking, and that's where I started, I did matting, right? Where that is where you take something, just to give a quick example. Obviously this is just a corner piece, but where you mat it like this so that you have the edge of this pattern paper sticking out, and then maybe you mat it on something else like this. You know, think of a painting that you have framed, and they'll add matting to it. So I like that, and I love having different levels of that. So if you see here, this is thicker than this is here, and I think that it adds a really nice texture to it. I'm going to go ahead and cut. So this is my fold. Where's the, okay, so my fold is right there. I'm going to come down a little bit, and I'm going to just keep that. And on this one, I'm going to go up. Oh, that's too bad I don't have that line, because I really like I said earlier, to keep those. Oh, but do you see how that tore? That's perfect, because I think that that adds a lot of interest to have it where it's not the same. Because if you think about it, and you had an old piece of paper, it's not going to be torn exactly the same. It's not going to be uniform. It might be, but it's not likely. As paper, you know, passes through hands and it gets worn and loved, it's going to distress different at different times. And now I'm still, when I'm doing something like this too, I like to glue more towards the middle and not necessarily the edges all the time, so that I can go back and, give me a sec. These nails are too thick to do that, but I can go back here and distress these edges. And this is just a needle that I have laying around, but you can use anything that you can use your scissor. And you can fold the edge in. I like to smush it down. Okay. Let's see how this is looking so far. Look how adorable that is. And look how fast we just did that. So I think I'm going to look for, originally I was going to put a person here, but since he's down here, I could do like, go like this butterfly, like something like this. Hang on. Like something like that with something else behind it. Oh, this actually goes. So it's a specimen. That's actually beautiful like that. There's also this 65-cent piece. There you go. And we can glue this down, or we can use a staple. Let's go. And I want that 65 to be crooked like that. I'm going to go ahead and staple it down. Yeah, let's do that. So cute. And what I love about this is that I get asked about this all the time, about covering things up when you're doing what I like to call clustering. And I'm going to show you the way that I look at things. So instead of looking at it that I covered that paper with this paper and it was a waste, it's not. If you see in the background right here, you can see that paper, and even you can read some of the numbers that are underneath. Like right here, I think there's writing, and you can read through it. Same with this little card. Yes, we covered some of it up, but we left open the specimen. We can also see little details here that are peeking through. And then, of course, we can see the writing, and I just think that it really works together, and you don't have to worry about covering it all up or not covering. Another thing that I think would look really cute here is if we distress here. So if I do the same thing that I did here, where I'm just distressing it like that, I think that if you just saw that, it was like magic. It adds so much interest to the piece. You could also cut this so that it's not completely square, and I think that adds a lot of interest as well. I'm going to glue this down. And when you're using wax and a wet glue, you could also clamp it down, like for example with something like this, and that way it is making the glue adhere to the paper and you have a better success rate. But I have found that art glitter glue and the wax works really well. And then if you wanted to, you can glue this, or you could attach this to your journal as a page, and then you have the inside. And on on Patreon, we decorated these with little pieces coming outside, so you can still decorate inside here, or you can leave it like that, because I think that that is decorated. And then you can add your journaling or a photo or anything here. And if you wanted to add extra decorating, you could. Right here we could add, I mean, really just use up our scraps and add more, but we're going to leave it like this. And I'm going to show you the same thing, except this time, instead of using any kind of pattern paper, we're going to use some regular cardstock, and we're going to make it a little more mixed media-y. I'm going to put this stuff away and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to start off this project with a piece of regular cardstock, and you can use just white. In this case, I'm using this manila color just because I happen to have it. And I'm going to make this one smaller, so we're going to go with the 2 inches this time. This is going to be a tiny one. Look how much smaller. Did I do 2 inches? I did. But look how much smaller it is. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold it up. And this is just to give an idea of where you want to cut this. You can also do this step last. So we're going to go here and cut it, and now, and that's just suggested, so it doesn't matter. Now what I'm going to do is get some paint, and so you can use whatever type of paint you want, whatever colors you want. I'm going to use some regular craft paint, and we're going to paint both sides of this. I'm going to go in with this, it's the Dollar Tree paint, which I haven't seen at Dollar Tree lately. We're going to do the front first. And this paint is pretty like thick, kind of gloppy. And depending on the look that you want to go with, it's going to depend on whether you want more layers or less layers of paint. If you want it to be more see-through or like see the lines, then one coat is perfect. But if you want it to be completely opaque, then you can do multiple. And I think one coat is plenty of this paint. This paint is actually really nice. It covers pretty well. And I'm going to go ahead and dry this just for the sake of time on this video. Now the same is true with when you're painting, even like paint on your walls. It's going to be a little different once it dries. So now you could see the striations of the lines. You can see right here, there's like where it's the brush mark. And if you don't like that, then again, go with your second coat. I'm not too concerned with it. You could also, you're seeing here that I'm just using my leftover paint, and I'm doing a really thin application, and this is going to give me a different color variation. It's also going to give me a different feel. You can see this is more like light and kind of more romantic than the other. And you can leave the little pieces or you can paint them. The other great thing about doing a light coat like that is that you saw, I mean, that dried within just a couple seconds. I love this color, so pretty. So now we can add another layer to this. And the way I'm going to do that is with some modeling paste. We also need a palette knife, and you can use a metal one or you can use a plastic one. I just grabbed the first one that was there. And then I'm going to look for a stencil that I have somewhere around here. Let's see, where are my stencils? And then you can get as ornate as you want. I think I want florals because I love florals. And so I'm going to grab this one and I'm just going to lay it like this. Now, if you don't want this to move, you could put a little piece of masking tape. I usually don't. Most of the time I regret it, but sometimes it's either that or not creating, because for me, I find that sometimes if I have too many things that I have to do, like rules to follow, when it comes to making art, that I mess up. Also, I'm hoping that you guys cannot hear. I have gum in my mouth. I hope it doesn't change the way that I'm talking, but I still have a little bit of a sore throat. It's not really a sore throat. I'll just start coughing. And so I had to pause the video ahead of time, so I decided to just put some gum in my mouth. This stuff's pretty thick. It's probably pretty old. And you don't have to go with a design that is this ornate. You can go with something that you can go with something that's simpler. And when you're working, if you've never worked with texture paste, you're going to want, after you spread it on, you're going to take, so when you're spreading it on, you have it at about a 45-degree angle. Then you want to put it straight up and down, so at a 90-degree angle, and then scrape off any extra product. That's going to give you the crisper look. And you can see I got some on the edge. I don't care. I think it adds to the charm. This is the best part, the reveal. You never know what it's going to really look like until you peel it back. Look at that. And so now we've taken something where we didn't have any pattern. And if you want to rub this off, you can while it's still wet. You can scrape it off. And I could paint over that if I wanted to as well. But now you've taken just a plain piece of cardstock, and with a little bit of extra work, then you've made it into a work of art. I'm going to go ahead and add some heat to try to dry that texture paste. Your dry time will obviously be a lot faster if you are putting a thinner piece, and you hopefully can see I did it pretty thin, so that dried pretty easily. And another thing I want to say, I don't always wash my stencils after I've used paint or any kind of liquid on them, but when I use texture paste, I do try to go ahead and soak them. So a good rule of thumb is I usually try to have like a little bin, like something like this would be perfect. One of those little shoebox ones that you can get at Dollar Tree, and I like to have a little bit of dish soap and warm water in there, and then when I'm done, I can just stick it in there. I don't have to clean it off right away, but it's already going to go ahead and remove the texture paste, that residue, and then after, when I'm completely done with my project, then I can go in and clean it up. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I think we're going to add these little birds first. I think I might have enough on my brush. If you want this lined up perfectly, then, you know, line it up. But I'm not gonna worry too much about that. I think that's part of the mixed media experience, is that it's a very playful Don't forget to remove the excess. Cute little birdies. And I think I'm going to maybe do a floral here. You're going to want to probably dry this bottom layer first, but because I'm recording and I'm impatient, I'm gonna try to do it without. I think that also, since I'm doing very little product on here, I'm able to, it's gonna dry pretty quickly. And therefore it's not going to, yeah, it didn't really disturb the birdies that much. And so now I will dry it a little bit, and then I'm going to show you one other thing. Okay, should be pretty dry. We can leave this as is. So remember, we're gonna, I find that if you mold your texture paste before it's, like, while it's still warm from the heat gun and before it's completely dried, I feel like that will stop it from cracking. But I think that either way is fine. And I'm not going to fill this one with anything, but you would do the same thing. You'd fill your little papers in, you know, however you want, if you want your little birds to show. So maybe only make them about that high. But I'm going to show you how you can take this and take it up one more level. So I'm going to grab my watercolors. Let's see, where are they? And if you did not catch my watercolor video, definitely go check out those watercolors. I'm absolutely in love. And it's so funny because my mom is visiting and she was like, I love those watercolors. And she just watched it in the video. As soon as she pretty much landed, she was asking me about the watercolors. Okay, I have no idea where they're at right now. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go try to find the watercolors and then also put this in some soapy water so that it can start disintegrating the texture paste. Okay. And I'm gonna grab the brush that came with the watercolor palette and my watercolor palette. So cute, look at these colors. Okay, so now I can actually paint over this. So I'm going to take maybe, let's see, I think I'm going to do a variation between this color and like one of these colors. And I'm going to, just going to add a little bit of water so that that'll start softening up that watercolor. And then I'm going to pick, I think I want to do this one, 5th color. And I'm going to add some water there so it'll start softening up. And I'm going to start with the lighter color and I'm going to start painting over my little leaves. And then you can do this as much or as little as you want. You can also add some and then remove it if it's a little too bright. I grab the other. And then I'm going to show you the purple. I'd already forgotten what color, but we're going to add some purple to our center and wipe it up. And then we could like wet this. I'm going to show you, and then just add a little bit here and there like that, so it's not so concentrated, or you can add more so it is very concentrated, and then you can lift it up or leave it. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to add a little bit of a pinky color here. And I want more of that green, that like kind of army green color. So again, you can go in as much or as little as you want here. And I think what's really pretty about this particular method is that you can add so many variations of different colors. So I'm going to take a little bit more like of a darker purple and add that. And then maybe I'm going to take a little more like of a red and add that here. And you can be as detailed as you want, but I want to show you that you don't have to be detailed at all. If that's the way that your brain works and detail is what deters you from creating, then fear not. I'm going to actually make this into a green. Let's see. Oops, I grabbed a little too much there. And you can leave as much white or as little white. If you don't want any white, take it all off. It's your project. It's your story that you're telling. And for example, these are not leaves. I think these are petals, but I'm making them into leaves. And so this one, I am going to leave this as a flower just because it is the piece that's going to fold over. So I'm just going to paint it, and then I'll add some green here so that I have a leaf as well. And I love when the colors mix into one another. I think that that is so pretty. Look how pretty that's already coming out. And that is, you're seeing this in real time, how quick I'm doing this, and I'm dropping the colors in, and let's go with, I'm going to grab this one, which is like a really vibrant green, and I'm just going to drop it in at the base of some of these. let's finish this off with another purple right here. And then I'm going to add a little bit darker back into the center. But remember, just like real flowers, there is, let me add a little purple there. There is no like exact color variation. You're going to find bleed through with different flowers, and I think that's what makes it even more pretty. Like right there. Look how pretty that looks. That's very Florida. And then some of you might say, no, I'm a minimalist and I wanted the white, and so do the white. Do whatever color you want. You could also add some acrylic paint to your modeling paste off to the side. Don't contaminate your whole container, and color it to whatever color you want. So let's say you wanted this to be a light pink, you could do that. I'm going to go ahead and dry this, and then we'll do the other side. Okay, we're going to finish off this side, and this one I want my little birds to be blue, so I'm going to take my just water from here and I'm going to just color them with water. And now we're going to, I'm going to start with my lightest color, and I'm just going to kind of drop it in. And then I want variations of that, so I'm going to grab like these teal colors, and oh, look how pretty that is. And again, you can be as precise as you want. I don't mind if it bleeds over into the pink. I think that that'll be pretty. And I think I'm going to add just a touch of maybe a yellow. Let's see if this color in here. So cute. I'll do a little more orangey on this guy. They're so adorable. Now I'm going to add a little bit of a dark blue. And you can keep playing with this. If it gets out of hand, you can pull away the color, and you can see, I mean, it pulled a ton of color out. I am going to add more of that blue back in. I want them to be a little more blue than orange. And I'm going to add like the green blue. Super cute. And then we're going to do the same with the leaves. And this one I'm going to leave a little more, I think we're going to just do them like a pink color. And I'm just guessing the colors here. But I'm going to leave them a little bit more light. And if you wanted to do the same thing with your birds, so we can just add water to this. You can already see it lifting, but when I go in, I can lift up that color. Now, you don't want to agitate the paper too much because it will start deteriorating the paper underneath. But I just wanted to show you, you can get as vivid as you want, or you can get as light as you want, and you can stay in the lines and only paint over the white, or you can paint in the pink as well. But so adorable. Look how cute this is. Oh, I love that. Isn't that gorgeous? And then once you fold it, and I love how this accidentally matched up. But once you fold this, then you can decide if maybe you want to add more colors to it or you like the way it is, which I absolutely adore this. So I hope that this project brought you motivation to do something today, even if you don't feel like it, even if you feel like you don't have the pattern papers. I just showed you how you could do it with some paint, and really all of these things, you can even scale them down to what I showed you and just do the little matchbook with some pages in it, some little paper, some little pieces that were going to go in the garbage, and just use up the things that you love and create something beautiful today with your hands and tell your story. It is good. It's a good story and it deserves to be told. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this project. I thank you guys so much. I should be filming now more continuously. My mom is in town for a little bit, and so that'll be really helpful, especially for dinners, you know. So I look forward to seeing you guys soon. And again, if you enjoyed this video, I would really love it if you hit the like, send it to someone that you love, add a comment, all the things. It really helps my channel to grow and to get pushed out to other people. And it's only through you that can happen. So I thank you so much. And I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye.